This is KION News Channel 546 at 11.
Well, for months, California businesses have been on edge about potential lawsuits tied to this pandemic, such as alleging COVID-19 exposure at the business or issues tied to novel remote work situations. KION's Max Tarlton has advice in today's Message Max.
Small businesses can face lawsuits for a variety of reasons, but now there's a push to prevent lawsuit abuse in the age of COVID-19. For years, small businesses have faced lawsuits, mainly for violations in regards to the Americans with Disabilities Act, as well as the Private Attorney General Act, which allows California workers to file lawsuits against employees for labor violations. Victor Gomez with California Citizens Against Lawsuit Abuse says during the pandemic and as restrictions continue to lift, trial attorneys and plaintiff attorneys have been ramping up advertising around COVID.
In California specifically, they have spent millions of dollars in advertising to let the community know, hey, if you got COVID, you may have received it at an establishment that you went to, may or may not. We don't care. We want to sue them.
Employers, take your time, know you're going to get your doors open, but make sure you do it right, because you really don't want to find yourself in the middle of a number of lawsuits, because this is a new area for many companies. It's a new areas for the legislature and for the courts. So we're not quite sure how all of this will unfold, but for sure, for those employers that don't take the proper steps, they're going to be more susceptible to potential lawsuits than those who do take those steps and can show that they did everything they could to try to create a safe working environment.
There are ways for small businesses to try and prevent lawsuit abuse. It's recommended to follow the CDC and state guidelines when it comes to COVID-19 protections for consumers and employees, but also to keep track of it.
It really leans on the small business owner and the nonprofit to prove that they've been following the CDC and public health guidelines. It's not up to the plaintiff to prove that they got COVID-19 at your establishment.
Gomez says requests to the governor's office and legislative efforts seeking reasonable liability protections for small businesses have been resisted. Now, small businesses aren't the only ones that face the threat of lawsuits. Already, many corporations have announced permanent remote work, in part driven by liability risks. If you have a question or a concern, send me a message. Head to our website, KION546.com. In the Digital Operations Center, Max Tarlton, KION News Channel 546.